And welcome to another episode of the Two Fans Podcast. I'm your co-host, Joshua Ament.
And I'm your other co-host, Ari Jesselson.
And today we recapped the Super Bowl yesterday, among other things, and our usual Monday recap. And today we want to kind of look ahead with the NFL, what the offseason is going to look like, and what the quarterback carousel is going to look like.
It's definitely going to be an interesting offseason for quarterbacks. There's a lot in it, and it might seem confusing, weird, even scary at first, but that's why we're here to break it down a little.
Yeah, confusing is certainly a word to use with all the rumors, speculation, wanting to create stories out of nowhere. This team, this quarterback hasn't won an MVP. Why do they still have him? And so there are a lot of these teams you'll see rumors are Team X wants to move on from quarterback Y, and sometimes it happens, but most of the time it doesn't. So let's just start by going over those kinds of situations where people are talking, but not a lot is likely to happen.
Yeah, and one team I see for a lot of talking, but nothing's going to happen is the Miami Dolphins. Obviously, a lot of people believe that the Dolphins should trade Tua, remind you, who was a rookie this year, for Deshaun Watson. Well, I do believe that there are people who really want that. It's very unlikely that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's Tua's rookie year. Of course, he's not gonna suddenly become a world beater the first moment he steps onto a football field. He, like most players in the National Football League, will take time to develop, and the Dolphins certainly look like they're going to give him that time. Okay, actually, look, this is a longer list than I thought it was when I was making it. I'll start with some of the older guys. Number one is in Pittsburgh with Ben Roethlisberger. It seems to me like he's going to come back, at least for this year. Getting that cap hit of, I think, above 40 million is gonna be big for them. But I don't see a lot of, maybe they'll sign, the Steelers will sign a backup. But I expect to see Big Ben under center for most, if not all of next season.
Yeah, and the Steelers already signed Dwayne Haskins to be the backup for the next, I believe, 2-3 years. So he's going to be Pittsburgh's backup. Hopefully that works out for him. But another guy I do see staying is Matt Ryan on the Falcons. Obviously, the Falcons, as a lot of people want to say, they were bad in the choke game. They weren't completely terrible. Their offense ranked number 13, and their defense was 24th. If they could just keep up what they built in the first, second quarters, I don't see what the big issue is with Ryan. He's obviously been playing good. And remember, he was an MVP in the past, and he still is an elite quarterback.
Yeah, definitely. As far as where the Falcons go, yes, you have a new coach in Arthur Smith, but the offense has generally been the strong point for the Falcons. It's really just been the defense that needs to step up, and that's where I would have to hope the front office is looking at right now. I'll look at Denver. With you might hear some talk with are they ready to move on with Drew Lock yet? Again, this was his first full season as a starter, only his second year. So I don't think, again, where they might want to bring in competition, but I don't think that the Broncos are ready to blow everything up just yet. Also, keep in mind, Broncos were one of the more injury heavy teams this year. So we'll see what Locke could do with a fully healthy team next year.
Yeah, and I believe the wide receiver Cortland Sutton was out for the entire year with an ACL MCL tear. So now that he's having one of his best receivers and probably one of the best receivers in the AFC West, who knows what Drew Lock could do?
Yeah, this is the one that I feel like the most sort of confused slash upset. I don't know if upset, like, or frustrated about, because people act like it's a guarantee to happen, but it's just the opposite. It's saying that the 49ers want to move on from Jimmy G. That no, the past 3 years he has either been injured or taken them to a Super Bowl. Like, why? I mean, you had 2018, they were injured to hell and back. 2019, they make it all the way to the Super Bowl. 2020, injured to hell and back. 2021, I expect them to be right in the mix in that tough NFC West.
Thank you for bringing Jimmy G up. For people at home, I was nodding my head. I am a big believer in Jimmy Garoppolo, probably because on those who your celebrity look-alike picture things on those apps, Jimmy Garoppolo is one of the top for me, so maybe that's my relationship with him. But his first year in 2017, the first time he started with them, all games, 5-0, 5-0, 1,560 yards, 7 TDs, and 5 interceptions. 2018, he gets hurt. Next year, 2019, he leads them to a 13-3 record, 3,978 yards, 27 TDs, and 13 interceptions, which is a really great year, showing how Jimmy Garoppolo could actually work out for the 49ers. Then in this year, he only plays 6 games and has an injury. I don't get why people are so up in the air of getting Jimmy Garoppolo out of the system, especially with the 49ers this year, how so much of that team, just like the Broncos, were injured. So now that all the 49ers are going to be healthy with a pretty high draft pick and with some cap space, if Sherman doesn't come back, I think the Jimmy Garoppolo might actually take them to the playoffs again.
All right, staying in that theme of teams with gold, the secondary color of the NFC. Sorry, I have to think of some segues. But in terms of the New Orleans Saints, yes, of course, like we're all expecting Drew Brees to retire. But there's going to be at least in my opinion, just a lot of continuity, at least in the quarterback's room. I expect, of course, with Sean Payton seems to love Taysom Hill. I don't know whether he's going to be made the full-time quarterback or whether it's Jameis Winston. But as we kind of mentioned Winston yesterday, for sort of seeing the Bucks win without him, I expect him to stay in the division, have those 2 revenge games a year. So as far as yes, Breeze is gone, and that's going to hurt. But don't expect the Saints to be in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes anytime soon.
Yeah, and I see both sides of it. How he might stay and how he might go. For staying, Taysom Hill is an older guy. He's not as consistent. In a lot of these games, he isn't like the full set quarterback most of the time. He seems like, hey, here's a guy, let's put as tight end for a few jokes and giggles, put him in running back a few plays and all that stuff. Jameis Winston, remember, he threw for 5,000 yards 2 years ago. If he could get down his picks, he could be a top-tier quarterback. And I think he could work if Taysom Hill doesn't figure out in the same system. But what I do like about him leaving, and think about this like you said, he has the revenge in his heart. He has the hatred for Brady in his heart. Because obviously Brady stole his spot on the Bucks. You know who else has hatred and wants to get revenge on Tom Brady? I'll tell you who. Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. So why not build the revenge on top of the revenge? Build the hatred on top of the hatred.
Oh, I was not expecting you to go in that direction. I'll talk about what I think the Patriots are going to do in a little bit. I think just a couple more teams we can sort of clear out of the way right now. Man, this has already taken so long. Like people are saying anyone can leave. As far as one interesting one I had, and this is honestly one I had to change in the middle, is the New York Jets. Because you can say, yeah, they have the number 2 pick. They can take Justin Fields and get rid of Darnold. But you also have new new coaching staff coming in with Robert Saleh. And it seems to me like the smart move for the Jets would be to build around Darnold and not start building without Darnold.
Yes, I do agree with you on that. I don't think by getting a new quarterback, you're solving in the systems, and you're just really repeating the cycle. At the end of the day, last year, Sam Darnold's stats from 2019, he was 7 for 6 for 3,024 yards, 19 TDs, and 13 interceptions. While it's not good or bad, it's respectable for a second-year quarterback. After losing Robbie Anderson, their best receiver, they really didn't build around it or try to find the gap for him. They just tried to pay on the cheap for second and third guy receivers like Chris Hogan. Their offensive line also really needs to change. With a number 2 possession, you can either draft someone for the line or even trade up for someone big like Quentin Nelson. Their offensive line, according to Pro Football Focus, ranked 29th out of 32nd, only behind the Bengals and the Giants.
Yeah, certainly a lot of course, a lot of issues on the Jets roster, and I don't think quarterback is something that needs to be a top priority for them. One last team we have to cover that's kind of, I guess, a mixed bag. We can see what's going on, but of course we have to address it. The Philadelphia Eagles. Of course, last year seemed like they were sticking with Wentz, took Jalen Hurts. No one were kind of confused. Now Jalen Hurts is the guy, and Wentz is very clearly on the trading block.
Yeah, and it does look interesting to see where Wentz lands. Obviously, there was a whole thing about the Eagles' locker room not really liking Wentz and where he goes. And remember, this guy was in the front runner to be an MVP before he went down with that injury. He still is a respectable quarterback in this league, and it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. I know as a Bears fan, you're a Bears fan, so it might be interesting to see Carson swap for Nick Foles.
I think Eagles fans are a little more excited for that. I don't, truthfully, I don't think like you can see how Wentz in a bad system with a bad O-line, no receivers, didn't really do that well. So really, why would Chicago be any different? As far as now, we can finally move on to some of the teams that actually are going to move on, at least in our opinions. Let's start with some of the easier ones. In the AFC South, you have 3 teams, in the Colts, Texans, and Jaguars, all for various reasons. The Jaguars never really had one, and I think that's sort of the easiest one we can check right off the box. Trevor Lawrence will be their starting quarterback, barring some sort of I don't know, but we can agree on that.
Yeah, I think we can agree on that. As much as like Minshew, you got to take Trevor Lawrence, especially in. But actually, Urban Myers is the coach of the Jaguars. Who's to say he won't go for his old QB, Justin Fields?
Interesting point, though. I don't think you can really deny when every single scout is calling someone a generational talent, you take a generational talent.
True.
Yeah. Let's go back now to a couple other teams. We'll get to. Oh boy, can we talk about the Texans and Deshaun Watson? But I think just as interesting is the situation surrounding their division rival in the Indianapolis Colts. Of course, they were a very, very solid team on paper last year. If I can pull up the numbers, their EPC ranks of number 7 offensively, even in spite of a mediocre season from Phillip Rivers, ranked 11 in defense and number 9 total, only making the 7th seed because of such a stacked AFC. But you can. This offseason, they're shaping up to be a very, very big one. They have $78 million in cap space. That is only less than the Jaguars. That's according to Spot Track. They're the youngest team in the league with an average age of under 25 and a half. And really, I think you can say they're one of like the most well-coached teams with Frank Reich. And I mean, been great even with no quarterback continuity for his 3 years, and are really one of the safest teams to pick. Like, probably have one of the highest floors. You can if you ask me, you have to pick a team that that is absolutely gonna go 10-6 this year. The Colts are at the top of that list for me.
Yeah, and there's a reason why so many analysts before the NFL season says that the Colts will go far and have a playoff push or win the division, because this team is stacked. For the past few years now, always big issue was once they get a quarterback, they're to be Super Bowl bound. Once they get a quarterback, they'll be great. And I think that's the one piece they're missing, because Jacoby Brissett, he's a good backup, but I don't see him as a starter. But everything else, I see them going far. Jonathan Taylor had an amazing rookie year with behind Marlon Mack and Naheem Hines, who are solid running backs. T.Y. Hilton, while he is getting older, he's still a reliable receiver. Michael Pittman Jr. had a pretty decent rookie year. And the offensive line, I mean, they're just great and build around a great defense with Justin Houston, DeForest Buckner, Darius Leonard. It's going to be interesting to see how the Colts improve.
Yeah, one more thing on that Colts offense. Trey Burton actually showing that he's good when he's healthy. Let me just dispel those rumors, because he, as a Bears fan, yes, he was good in 2018. He just couldn't stay on the field in 2019. Let's put these he sucks. Let's put that to rest. But of course, we can't talk about this year's quarterback carousel without mentioning the elephant in the room, or the Texan in the room, Deshaun Watson. Will he be a Texan for long? The Houston's clearly doesn't seem to think that's a question. They say they're going to hold on to him for as long as they can. But I think we all know it's only a matter of time. Watson is not going to play another snap for them, and they're gonna have to sell him.
It's only a question of when and for how much at the end of the day. Obviously, Watson is angry with the team. He's frustrated. And even J.J. Watt might be out of the team, showing you how such a loyal player wants out of a pretty bad organization. But the real question is, how much is Deshaun going to go for? What is the price teams are going to pay? And that's what we'll have to see when we get those answers.
I think I might have an answer for that right now. And I will tell you that that there's one team with one front office, one general manager that is desperate to keep his job, and that job is so heavily centered on getting a quarterback. And I think that if Ryan Pace has to give up 10 first rounders, he will do it. I think he probably will end up giving around like 5 or 6 for Watson to go to the Bears. But I think he is more desperate than anyone, and he's gonna send them an offer that they can't refuse.
Yeah, and also going back to the guy, remember, he was the one to send all those draft picks to the 49ers just to move up one spot. So you never know what he's going to do. Hopefully, for your sake, he doesn't give away Khalil Mack.
Truthfully, I will say that that of course I'm sure some people are going to be thinking, oh yeah, you're just saying that because you're a Bears fan and you want Deshaun Watson to go to the Bears because you could have had Deshaun Watson in 2017. Shut up. Trubisky was the consensus #1 quarterback. Don't believe me? Look at the mock drafts.
Yes, and we could have an episode on that later down the line, how people like to judge the present as the past.
Yes, another thing, as far as where the Bears are right now with trading for Watson, it puts them in a very win this season or else kind of mindset, which it just I don't feel comfortable with. I don't think Nagy or Pace will feel comfortable with. Um, I mean, even going into this offseason, the Bears are already have just about hit the salary cap. When Deshaun Watson's extension kicks in next year, that's going to get even worse. Not to mention, you're going to eventually have to pay guys like Roquan Smith, like David Montgomery. The offensive line has been, yes, better than the Texans, but that's not saying much. The defense, which in 2018, was the best in the league, EPC ranked #1, hasn't been getting better ever since Vic Fangio left. It was ranked number 8th in 2019, and then only just middle of the pack 15 this year. We'll see. Maybe it gets better under Vic Fangio's #2, Sean Desai. But I wouldn't hedge my bets on it.
It certainly is going to be interesting what's going to happen with the Bears. But another quarterback who I see leaving the team, either getting cut or just wanting to trade or whatever, I brought this back up, Cam Newton and the Patriots. This is where Joe Belichick get Jameis Winston, get that revenge tour going. But obviously, Cam Newton's not going to be a Patriot for long.
Yeah, I think we can agree that the Cam Newton experiment for various reasons, be it being a very different quarterback than Tom Brady, be it just having a different quarterback than Tom Brady, having really not a lot of talent on the offense, didn't really work out. I think Cam will end up getting a job as one of the more marquee backups in the league. Maybe with Pittsburgh, who knows? But as far as the Patriots, and I think this is a great way to circle it all back to the Bears and the quarterback thrown under the bus so many times. He's has a spot reserved there. Mitchell Trubisky, if you are listening to this, first of all, wow, thank you. I'm honestly honored. But second of all, run from that offensive graveyard known as Soldier Field and never look back. You owe them nothing. And I think...
Well, if Mitch Trubisky is watching to this, how did you find a YouTube channel with only 6 viewers annually? But thank you if you are. But yeah, Mitch Trubisky, get out of there.
Yeah, I think take my advice. If again, like I said, with the Colts, if they're interested, you try to find your way there. If not, what I think is the most likely outcome that's going to happen is he finds himself with a much more well-coached team on the New England Patriots. And I think, of course, like I said, not a lot of talent there on offense right now, but the line isn't terrible, and the coaching staff, of course, is one of the historically best in the league. So I think he will see some improvement, maybe not MVP level. But will certainly be a step up from what Nagy did to him.
Hey, he's already an MVP, so it doesn't matter. But in all honesty, it's weird talking about quarterback carousels without mentioning the Browns. I'm just proud of my voice, so it's just kind of weird not saying like, "Hey, what are we doing next year to find a guy?" But it also leaves a spot for the unknown players or some guys we might not know what's going to happen, even that's being they're trading or maybe being stuck in the backup role. A big player who I think that might just be a loss of time is Andy Dalton, because he's on the Cowboys. Remember, if Dak comes back and the Cowboys do sign him, what's going to happen to Dalton? He is aging. He signed as a backup role for the Cowboys, and now that they played him, he really didn't fit in that system. So it's just opens up a lot of holes for what's going to happen to him.
Yeah, that is interesting to think about. I mean, just a year ago, he was a starter. Granted, knew he was going to be replaced for Joe Burrow, but now it's sort of on the same level as as guys like Joe Flacco, we're sort of is just sort of trying to find a spot as a backup, which really, I mean, I feel like we don't credit him enough. Like he held down that starting job in Cincinnati for a while, and I think if another team can give him the right chance in the right system, they he can be back there. Maybe Washington, uh, but I think truthfully, I think they're going to go in a slightly different direction, and that's trading for Teddy Bridgewater. I guess I can talk about that a little bit. And from the Panthers' perspective, it seems like Matt Rule's first quarterback didn't quite work out as well as he wanted to. Of course, this is one I feel like I could be the most wrong about. That maybe they do want to keep trying with Bridgewater. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that they're going to try to trade him, try to get Justin Fields or Zach Wilson in the draft. Probably Justin Fields, because as far as teams taking quarterbacks in front of them, they don't see anyone other than the Jaguars. Um, but yeah, I think Rule's gonna want to pick the quarterback himself to develop from the ground up, to sort of to lead his new age offense and this new culture team that really is in. I mean, it is only 1 year, but seems to be on the right track.
Yeah, and going to the receivers, PFF grades, and the running back, Mike Davis had a PFF of 75, DJ Moore had a 79.1, Curtis Samuel 77, and Robbie Anderson 75.1. So it's really going to be interesting to see who's going to take them to the next level, because they do have great receiving core and great running backs, and Christian McCaffrey is going to come back. It is sad to see that Teddy Bridgewater, what happened to him, especially from the Vikings injury to now. I personally was rooting for the guy to do well. But going back to Randy Dalton, he's already in Texas. Who's not to say he goes to the Texans?
I haven't really thought about that, but I'll tell you what I think the Texans are gonna do is that, of course, they keep this facade of stability. Oh, we're gonna hold on to Watson. He's gonna be our franchise quarterback for the next 10 years. Yeah, you had your shot and you blow it. Um, and I think when they're eventually going to be forced to play their hand and trade away Watson, they're gonna scramble for whoever they can to to cover to sort of cover it up the most, and they're gonna probably take like the one of the biggest name guys that's left, and I say they're gonna trade for Carson Wentz. Who knows? Maybe it's using some of those picks they got from the Watson haul. I don't know. You can never really know with the Texans front office. And it certainly seems like Howie Roseman would ask for a lot from the Texans, make them overpay, and put himself maybe out of the hot seat for a little bit. But that's what I think the Texans would do, and I think the Eagles would benefit from it.
Yeah, but you got to remember, it's the Texans. They're not known for making decent decisions. Which
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. No, I just realized as far as all of my predictions, what I've said so far has gone, and I haven't mentioned the name Dak Prescott yet. Of course, season with the Cowboys got hurt early in the year, and truthfully, I don't see. Of course, you saw at the beginning of the year that they were very, very hesitant on extending him. Now, off an injury, I don't see how Jerry Jones wants to pay him 40-50 million. Maybe not 50 million, but it seems like that's what Dak's going to be demanding from them, and they're not going to give it to him. So I say, of course he's going to be asking for a lot, but I think a team that's going to be willing to pay a lot, a team that has the resources to pay a lot, and the team that maybe with Dak Prescott can put them over the top is the Indianapolis Colts. I think that they end up signing Dak Prescott and immediately launching themselves right up to the top of the Super Bowl conversation.
That would be interesting, and it helps both sides. Dak wants Dak wants the money and a team he could play for that he might actually enjoy, and the Colts want a quarterback who can take them to the top. Overall, that would be a win-win for the team and the player.
Yeah, on top of that too, and I forgot to mention that not only can they splurge on Dak Prescott, which generally I'm opposed to paying quarterbacks, but in this situation, I can make an exception. Again, nearly $80 million in cap space for the Colts. So they can sign Dak, and then they can also, of course, they'll probably have to re-sign T.Y. Hilton, but they can also add a third receiver to go with Michael Pittman and Hilton. Maybe sign in Allen Robinson. Yes, you two get out of Soldier Field and never look back. Maybe Kenny Galladay. Man, the NFC North has so many receivers on bad teams. But certainly the Colts have a lot of avenues they can pursue. I think that's the one they go down. And this one and a couple of other ones too can make them Super Bowl contenders by August.
Yeah, and I think we just have to wait to see what will happen. Obviously, that does sound like something realistically the Colts will do, because I don't see them drafting a quarterback in the draft. They're too high to get someone of a high name value. There's some good guys coming in free agency, and we didn't even talk about a lot of these backup quarterbacks yet. And there's still a lot of the quarterbacks on this list that we didn't get to who are still might be available. One of these guys that I just want to say is from the Washington football team, Taylor Heineke and or Alex Smith, as both their futures are kind of up in the air.
I mean, I think Washington would I don't know about Taylor Heineke, but as far as Alex Smith goes, I would certainly expect I expect Washington if they're smart to keep him, because I mean the last guy he mentored turned out to be pretty good. So if it's Bridgewater, if they want to trade up, take a Trey Lance type guy in the draft, they could do that. If they want to trade for Teddy Bridgewater or sign Andy Dalton, they can do that too. I don't think they're gonna end up with the Watson with the Wentz with the Prescott. Well, yeah, probably not the last two within the division. But I expect them to find some sort of upgrade.
Yeah, but I say give Heineke the shot and just get a good backup. But speaking of guys who are known for developing good quarterbacks, what's his name? Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, signed for 2 years with the Chargers, free agent now. Yeah, it just is gonna be interesting to see where he ends up. Again, probably gonna be one of the more high tier backups.
Yeah, and I remember he backed up two of his backups, broke the rookie TD passing record, Justin Herbert past year, and then Baker Mayfield, and his other backup won MVP, Lamar Jackson. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't he also starting ahead of Josh Allen?
I think that was the year before they had Josh Allen.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he was ahead of Peterman. So I guess you get the best and the worst.
Well, I mean, you could say he got four of the best. No, I'm not doing that. Peterman sucks.
Yeah. All right. One more thing. I realized I didn't clear this up, but I think we can both agree that if the Cowboys are gonna move on from Dak Prescott, that also with the 10th pick in the draft, they can very easily replace him with, say, Zach Wilson.
Yeah, they do have a lot of offers. So, like I keep saying again, it definitely is going to be interesting because there's just a lot that's going to happen. And just going back, keeping in that same division, the Giants, they hold the number 11th pick in the draft. A lot of people are upset about Daniel Jones. But just remember, in 26 games, Daniel Jones was sacked 83 times. So is it really worth moving from him to get someone better?
Yeah, I'll tell you. Speaking of sacks, because that made me think that I forgot about someone who's been getting some buzz in the past couple of days. That's again, I don't think like we're making it more out of it than need be. But in Seattle with Russell Wilson, of course, being sacked nearly 400 times in his career, and I don't like. Of course, I expect the Seahawks to invest heavily in the offensive line, and of course they've been. I don't know what their playoff streak is offhand, but the fact that it's more than 3 years, yeah, definitely more than 3 years, uh, is enough for me to say that that organization will certainly want to respond to that by investing in the offensive line.
They have been to the playoffs every year of Russell Wilson's career except for 2017.
Oh, it actually is three. Wait, really? Huh.
Yeah, from 2012 to 16 and then 18 to 20. I'm getting these stats off of Pro Football Reference.
Okay, so I mean that's still a very very impressive run.
Definitely
Um,
is. Just to cut you off, for a guy like Wilson, who's also seems like one of these once in a lifetime type of quarterbacks. Obviously, the past year, 4,212 yards, 40 TDs, and 13 interceptions. The year before that, 4,110 yards, 31 TDs, 5 interceptions. So he's a incredible quarterback, as we all know. And really, just one play just kind of is the only bad thing. Obviously, what I'm talking about is the one that kind of brings a lot of his legacy down. But
let's not. I know. I'm not going to do to Seahawks fans what they could do to me with a double doink.
that is fair. But I just gotta say, Russell Wilson, if I'm the Seahawks right now, I got to build that offensive line for him. He's my future guy. He has multiple years. That receiving core is elite. That defense is solid. Fix that line to keep Russell Wilson. You've been to the playoffs so many times. I think without line, you get that push. But I think Russell Wilson has to stay because this could be the best of both worlds for both situations.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better. Really, all they need to do is just build that offensive line. Maybe they cement themselves atop that NFC West. Of course, they won it last year, uh, even with some of the woes there.
Yeah, well, I feel like also a lot of injuries for every team in the West, and just a lot of injuries really did play a deficit. But the NFC West is going to be competitive when everyone's going to be healthy, with new quarterbacks coming in, with new players coming in. The only way I could see the Seahawks doing better and keeping that title is by building the line around Wilson. We obviously knows what he could do outside of the pocket and what he could do with his arm. If you just keep him in there a little longer and help him secure that, I think they got to keep. That's the only way they could keep from being in the top.
Yeah, and let's stay in the NFC West a little bit because again, like we mentioned with the Rams trading for Matthew Stafford, the big loser there is John Wolford. Of course, was supposed to have quarterback competition there with Goff. Of course, that's not going to happen anymore. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe a team wants to trade for him, give him a chance.
Um, yeah, and I was kind of rooting for Wolford. Obviously, I love the underdog story, so I want to see what could happen to him. But I think staying with the Rams as a backup, Matthew Stafford is getting pretty older, and you never know how he's going to play in that new system. At least Wolford knows how to play, but how the plays work. He started 2 games for them, and he's been there already, so he will know how everything works. So just give him as a safety quarterback for the team. So I think best for him, stay in and see how it works. Staying in California, actually, they're not in California anymore. They're in Nevada. Marcus Mariota. Obviously, he played a phenomenal game against the Dolphins, which could be seen as one of the best games in the NFL. I think the Browns, that's definitely top 3 for me. But with interest about Derek Carr being traded away for something, Marcus Mariota, it's a 50-50. Either he gets to start or he backs up someone new in Nevada. So what do you think he should do?
What I think, honestly, I don't know what I think Mariota should do. I mean, I find it a little hard to believe that teams are gonna offer him the starting job without any sort of competition. Certainly a high quality backup job. I think, I mean, he has a lot of options. I will give him that. But one thing I think from the Raiders' perspective is it's in their best interest, I think, to keep both Mariota and Derek Carr there, because they've been probably some of the most solid pieces of that offense. Of course, Carr really, like, we don't talk about him a lot because he's pretty average, albeit, like, even with a otherwise mediocre team like the Raiders, Mariota is able to take over for him when he needs to. That really, if I feel like once the Raiders get the post Mac defense in order, they could be good, but that is a big if.
I kind of have to disagree with you on some of that points. Derek Carr, I just think he's a little underrated. Obviously, his win-lose record is below 500. But looking at his stats this year, 4,103 yards, 27 TDs, and 9 interceptions. He doesn't throw that many interceptions, and he's always had more TDs, usually in the 20s. I don't think a lot of teams are going to go for him, but I do think he's a good option for someone to get. Maybe he could even fill up a backup spot.
All right, they can do that, but then what are the Raiders left with? And also, what team is going to want to trade for him when either the Raiders are going to be asking maybe for too much, and will he be enough of an upgrade for people for teams to want to make the active effort to go out and trade for him?
Well, I agree with you on that. You got to remember the Bears and football team are kind of desperate at this point in time.
A fair argument. I'll give you that much, but even if he is up for trade, I will remind you, we can all agree that Carr is at best the third best quarterback whose name starts with the D and wears number 4 that is available in this offseason. You still have Deshaun Watson, you still have Dak Prescott, and I think those are going to be more appealing for the more desperate teams.
Yes, and they are more appealing, but they're going to come at a larger cost. So it's really up to what are the GMs willing to spend.
I've said it once and I've said it again. At least in Ryan Pace's situation with the Bears, he will do anything to save his job.
Oh yeah, and I said this once and I said this again also, but at least none of us are fans of Texans.
Yeah, I really apologize. Yeah, we really have to apologize. We know. I really can't imagine what it's like to have such a talented quarterback and then have him actually be frustrated and then the team just handling it so poorly. I can't imagine what you've been through the past year and change.
Yeah, I'm sorry for all Texans fans out there, but hopefully the future gets brighter. Is there anything else we would like to talk? We should talk about?
No, I think that covers just about everything. I can give my sort of final summary on what I think is gonna happen. If, if you want to go over it.
Yeah, please do.
All right, so the Jaguars take Trevor Lawrence. Had the Steelers signing Cam Newton. I honestly forgot about Haskins. I think you can change that now to probably the Broncos be signing Cam Newton. A little irony there, beating him in Super Bowl 50. But that sort of sparks the chain reaction. Now, who's going to be the quarterback for the Patriots? I think that's Mitchell Trubisky. Well, who's going to be the quarterback for the Bears? Well, I think that's Deshaun Watson. Well, who's going to be the quarterback for the Texans? I think that's Carson Wentz. That's as far as that little chain goes. In other areas, of course, the Colts get Dak Prescott. Win-win for both sides. I think Dallas tries to groom a new rookie in Zach Wilson. I think Panthers move on from Bridgewater, trade him to Washington, draft Justin Fields, and then I think that leaves one sort of unknown that really maybe any team can take, and that's the fourth quarterback in the draft, Trey Lance. Maybe, of course, if the Patriots or the Washington team of football want to go and take him, give a little bit of competition, they could do that. Maybe a team with an older quarterback, say the Steelers, maybe well, maybe not the Packers, but please do Green Bay if you're listening. But yeah, so that sort of is that last piece that I don't really know what to think. But other than that, I'm pretty set on what I think is going to happen.
Were our speculations right or wrong? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you for listening to the show, and I'm sorry, this is Josh's line, so I'll give it back to him.
You know what? I'm feeling generous. You go ahead. You go ahead. Take the outro.
Oh, I feel so lucky. Thank you again for watching. I'm sorry, Texans fans. Again, we do this for every week, Monday through Thursday. Times are always going to be different. We have platforms on YouTube, Spotify, and Anchor, wherever you get your podcasts, and also follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Our users are the names. Remember the name, Two Fans Podcast. We also have a Gmail, twofanspodcast@gmail.com. No spaces, all lower cases, and the number 2. Thank you again for watching the show.